Greetings, beautiful human. My name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc., Triple M Coaching, founder of our home planet on the interwebs, hackyourself.net. Grand rising to all you watching this, no matter what time or dimension you're watching from. This is my third channel update, and it has been a fat minute since I posted a video. I've been posting some of my Human Programmer Academy for you guys to enjoy, and I thought I would use this third channel update video to tell you guys a little bit about what I'm doing on our website on hackyourself.net, how you can benefit from it, and I'll probably give you a few stories about what's happening with me right now. And as always, these stories are designed to unlock your mind. So if you stick with me till the end of this video, it just might be life-changing. And you will learn about some very amazing free resources that I'm making available to you now. So thank you for joining me. Most of you know that my name is AJ. I am a human programmer. That means that I am an expert in self-hypnosis, and I teach my clients how to easily and effortlessly rewire the unconscious programs of self-sabotage. And what that really means is all of the things in our lives that we translate as problems, all of the things that we feel are overwhelming, unfair, these are all products of our own self-sabotage. And I know to some that's going to sound a little harsh. It's going to sound like I'm victim blaming. But really, understanding that is the first key to your freedom. So if that's a little bit much for you right now, just put it on the back burner, hang out with me for a bit, and see if my words don't help it to make a little more sense. So I'm going to start with what I do, because a lot of people don't understand what neuro-linguistic programming is. They don't understand what hypnosis is. The whole topic is a little scary, especially to people leaving high control religions. And so I'm going to explain a little bit. Hypnosis has been presented by the media in movies as something scary, as mind control. And it is exactly that if you use it wrong. But when they use it as mind control, it doesn't look how they present it. The mind control kind of hypnosis is embedded in movies and stories and news. And the manipulative part of hypnosis directs your mind to fear. But the kind of hypnosis that I do goes directly to your beliefs about yourself. And I don't ever install my beliefs. What I do is install the blueprint of my beliefs. I install the ability for your own unconscious mind to create its own programs, healthy programs based on reality. Ultimately, conversations with me teach your unconscious mind self-hypnosis and the principles of how it works. I do this through conversations, through energy healing. Looks like many different things, because I utilize whatever my client is going through. Sometimes we go on walks when it's in person. Sometimes we sit in nature. There's many different ways, but ultimately what we're doing is transmuting trauma from the past. Because what most people don't understand is that the current reality that we're in, if we haven't done the inner shadow work and we haven't addressed what we went through as a child, the current reality that we're in is always being interpreted through the eyes of the broken child. What that looks like is going to work every day, feeling like your boss treats you like the toxic parent that raised you. Feeling like your coworkers treat you like your siblings. Seeing toxic behavior over top of new stories from the past. And what we're dealing with is body memories. It's the body's way of protecting us. You see, when we're children and things happen that we don't understand, even if it's not abuse, even if it's just something that we don't get what's happening and we can't file it away with a lesson, it gets stored as trauma. And most times, as those situations are unfolding in the present moment, our body will disassociate and our conscious mind won't remember the situation accurately. Because the part of our mind, what I call the autopilot safety system. Got to slow down so I say the right words. This part of our operating system, its job is to sort all the raw data that we're seeing. As you see, at any given moment, there's over 2 billion pieces of raw data coming at us. And we can only consciously focus on 7. And so this autopilot safety system's job is to narrow it down to the right 7 things. And when there's a lot of trauma from our past, a lot of unresolved memories, and they can't be put away in the wisdom file in our unconscious mind, they stay at the top of the operating system in our awareness 24/7. And our autopilot safety system is constantly overlaying that data over top of the raw data that's happening currently. And it tends to misunderstand because its job is to distort, delete, and to reduce that amount of information so that we can comprehend it. And the lens that it's using to do so is colored with trauma. And you recognize this by asking yourself, in every given situation, anything that you think is wrong that's happening in this now moment, you ask yourself, is this something new? Or is this something that I felt my whole life? And if it's a pattern that you felt your whole life, you have to go back to the first time you felt it and understand that your job in that moment is not to address the story that you're telling about what's happening. Your job is to go back and reparent that inner child who never understood what happened to them. And I know it's hard to believe. My clients don't believe me in the beginning. They feel like telling the story and solving the problem in front of them is the answer. But the actual problem has nothing to do with what's happening. The problem is an electrical system malfunction. The fight, flight, or freeze part of the safety system, the part that says get the hell out of here because this isn't safe, is still active. And most times we are years down the road from the trauma, and that system is still causing us to react in fear. And once you understand, once you understand that the game that we're playing is not to figure out the stories out there, that all the stories that we're telling about what's happening are coming from the data that we've already stored from the past inside. We start to get the fact that we have to change that story inside. And it feels impossible, because how do you go back in time and explain to your inner child what really happened? Because you can do that consciously over and over. My clients come to me and they're telling the story over and over. I can't believe my parents did this to me. I can't believe this happened to me. Why doesn't anyone understand me? And all it takes is a few conversations for me to get them to understand that nobody's going to understand them. There's nobody outside that can give you the response that will make you feel seen and heard. But there is somebody that's been paying attention the whole time, that loves you more than you even know. And I'm not going to say Jesus, don't worry. He might be. I'm not putting anyone down that says Jesus. Just that answer has let down millions of people. And that's not the answer for this video. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not putting any religious people down. I love you all. You can keep all your stories about religion. Just keep them to yourself. The person that's been watching, who loves you, and who really cares if you succeed, is you. And I can prove that, because you wouldn't be watching this still if you didn't care if you succeeded. And what nobody has ever told you, you've probably already figured it out on your own. You caring about yourself is enough. Because you are enough. I know you don't feel like that's true right now. But there's proof in the fact that you're still here. There's proof in the fact that you're still trying. There's a reggae song that my daughter and I found 10 years ago, and it's actually kept me alive. I'll try to put it in the comments or the description of this video so you guys can check it out. But I think his name is Ben Kaplan. The song is called, I can't remember the name of the song, but the chorus of the song says, "A drowning man is still a living man who just hasn't run out of his last bit of breath." And those words, those are good hypnosis. I heard those words one day when I was at the end of my rope 10 years ago. And I was at the end of my last breath. But I chose to use it to keep swimming up. And all I was able to do is get a breath of fresh air. And then I had 6 more years of hell, of learning, locked in my own unconscious behavior, in another, even more abusive relationship. Because I couldn't see the wound inside of me that was keeping me there. And I felt ashamed, because my relationship even got physically violent. And as a man, I didn't know how to defend myself. I was getting punched every day. Terrible things were happening, and I was more worried about my partner's well-being and the fact that we were both homeless. And if I told her not to come back, she would be out on the streets by herself. And it took that experience for me to see that I was putting other people's safety above my own, and that was reckless behavior. And with a few good friends' help, I was able to see that my interactions with my mother trained me, not any part, she had no part in it. I learned by accident that it was safer to forget what my partner or my mother had done than to try to address it. And so every time I realized I was very unsafe and I needed to leave a relationship, I didn't have access to the factual basis that I needed to leave, because I was trained myself to forgive and forget. So I could remember what they had done, but I couldn't use it to make my next move. You got to understand how unconscious behavior works. I didn't know what was happening. I would go to make my decision and that information wasn't available. It was a blind spot. And I'm being open and honest with you all because that's how we learn. You need to see that at that point, I was ready to teach other people, and I had learned so much about healthy relationships that I could see it in other people. But when it came to myself, I couldn't see this part of me because my inner child wouldn't let me see it. And what I learned through this process is that the sacred soul that I was in this relationship with that was hurting me, I'm not giving her any excuse for using physical violence, but that was unconscious behavior. And what it taught me is there is no good and evil. There's only conscious behavior and unconscious behavior. And I was seeing that the results of unconscious behavior could be judged as evil very easily, and the consequences of conscious behavior could easily be judged as good. But if you look at the reality of what's happening, the differentiation is just conscious or unconscious, and the judgment is good or bad. And I realized that she was playing her part to make me aware of my blind spot. And sure, some people, obviously, millions of people learn it without going that far. But that shows how deep my unconscious program was buried. And at the same time, it proves that we can become such good human programmers that we can uncover them. And ultimately, that's what I want to teach you in the program that I'm releasing over on hackyourself.net. It's called the Human Programmer Academy. And what I've learned through this process of coaching others, which has taught me how to coach myself, is I've learned that when we're going through the dark night of the soul, the first step to coming out is finding safety within. Because with our hierarchy of needs, we can't move into abundance. We can't move into our new life. We can't change anything about ourselves or understand ourselves until we know that we're in a safe situation. And what I've noticed about my adult clients coming to me is that most of them have kept themselves safe. Most of them have got out of the abusive relationship, got out of the high control religion. And a year, 2 years, or in my case, 5 years can pass. And your internal autopilot safety system can still be on red alert. And the way that you recognize it is by the stories that you're telling over top of the raw data that you're experiencing. And ultimately, the Human Programmer Academy has been designed to help your unconscious mind walk out of that, to get into the safety mode and learn how to rebuild itself. And so I'm going to try to as easily and simply explain how this process works, what's actually happening when my clients call me and we talk. Because I want you to understand that what I've done with myself is just a blueprint of what you can do. And it's very easy to do. I thought it was complicated. I had to learn quantum physics, psychology, religion, spirituality. And in the end, it's all about tuning your body to nature. That's all. Your body is an electrical conduit. It's designed to vibrate at the level that these trees and the wind vibrate at, the birds and the crickets. But somehow we've been convinced to take our attention off of nature. and put it on these little black mirrors in front of us. And collectively, we get more likes and clicks from fear. And so I don't know whether there's some big evil demonic force directing the news and the propaganda, or if it's just each of our individual egos coming together collectively. But there definitely is a spiritual war happening. And if you think it's done in a church, you're programmed. If you think the spiritual war is fought on your knees praying, you're partially right. The spiritual war is fought in the conversations with our loved ones, in the conversations with ourselves, in the quiet moments. The spiritual war is what you decide to think about when you're alone. The spiritual war is inside. And the whole story of Jesus, Christ coming to save you, is the same story as the Egyptians who worship the sun god. You say they believe that the sun was a child of God, Jesus, and it was sent to save us because of its warm heat. And once a year on the solstice, God's son Jesus dies and stays in the tomb for 3 days. And then he rises up and saves us from our sins. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's a repetitious story that they've used over and over with different faces on the characters, and used it to get us to look outside for God, to get us to pay a preacher to teach us about God. When in reality, all you have to do is sit in nature long enough to tune into Christ consciousness. The second coming of Christ is a state of mind. It's one that I channel all day long, effortlessly, because I spend my first few hours of every day sitting with the trees, talking to the birds. And once I do that, then I can sit with broken people all day. I hardly have to say anything. I just have to love them. To love them exactly where they're at, and know that they're enough to get where they need to go. I have to understand that whatever this battle of consciousness versus unconsciousness, the good side wants us to win. And the good side's going to win. And the way it works is that we sit in nature. We sit in meditation. We tune our bodies to the frequency of nature. And we rise in a rhythm where truth is found. When we rise in that rhythm, we can finally see what is. All the programs fade away naturally, and only truth is left. And the biggest part of the journey is that we're safe. We feel safe in unconsciousness, because it's our comfort zone. But the only way to be safe is to get the hell out of the comfort zone, because it's deadly. And the only way to get out of the comfort zone is to willfully do hard things. And that's why I teach the principle, do hard shit because you can. It's a simple statement, but every single morning I wake up and I think of the last thing on earth I want to do that day, the hardest thing for the day. And usually within the first 10 minutes of being awake after my meditation and ready to hit the day and to do what I'm going to do, I'm starting on the hardest thing. And most days, I make something up. Like, if I have a ride to get into town, I might choose to walk 2 miles rather than get a ride, just to show my body that whatever comes at me for the rest of the day can't touch me, because I've already chose to walk 2 miles for fun. It doesn't matter what you choose to do hard, you just have to push yourself outside of the comfort zone, because until you do that willfully, you're going to be frozen in fear. And everything that seems to be scary outside doesn't compare at all to this internal safety system that wants to keep us safe, because it lies to us. It tells us we're going to die when we're not going to die, so we have to sit in silence long enough so that we can see the truth. Hear that sound? I don't know if the camera's picking up the wind. That's the frequency of freedom. So you all think you need to take one more course, you need to pay one more coach, you need one more answer. You'll be able to move into that life that you want. You're already there. You're already living the life that you want. Every single goal that you have, if you chunk it up to the highest possibility, everybody wants a job that will fulfill a purpose. Everyone wants to go to bed feeling tired from hard work that meant something. Everyone wants family to love and to be loved by. Everyone wants to fit in. Everyone wants to feel useful. And every client that's ever called me has had those desires and wanted those things for their future. And every time I'm sitting with them on the phone or in person for their first session, I can find examples of how they're already doing it. And the principle is easy. To get from where you're at now to where you want to be, all you have to do is get a clear vision of where you want to go. Get that vision so clear in your head. And chunk it up to the principles, not what you're actually doing there, but what the feelings are, how you spend your time. Once you can see that, start looking for areas that you're already doing it. I promise you'll find them. Once you see them, you switch all your focus to being grateful for that. That's it. We get more of what we focus on. And we've been trained to focus on what we don't want. Once you figure out what you want and you focus all your attention on what you want, you'll get more of that. Your only problem has been focusing your attention on what you don't want, talking about that. Once you switch this, the internal system naturally switches from fear to gratefulness, to gratitude. And that gratitude tunes your body, and you become a magnet to the things that you want. It's already happening right now. Think about it. You think constantly about what you don't want, and you're a magnet to it. It's that simple. Become a magnet for what you're grateful for. Think more about the good things than the bad things. Ignore the bad things. There's usually about a 6-month season between switching lives. Believe me, I've burned so many avatars in this simulation. Oh man, my first divorce when I was 22. So that was my second life, right? Had my childhood life. Got married at 18, 22, burned at the stake. Burned at the stake numerous times over the next 18 years. One final time at 42. A couple of months ago when I healed this mother wound, got burned at the stake again. But every time I rise higher, every time I get closer to my purpose. The people watching me, wanting me to fail, they're reminding me that you've been at this for 10 years and you're still not making enough money to live. I know. Trust me, I know. But what they don't know is that with enough attention, enough focus, we could change matter. And so that's what I'm going to help you with in the Human Programmer Academy. I have dumped everything I know into this academy, and the first 5 lessons are absolutely free. All you have to do is put in your email address and start an account once you go to hackyourself.net. The account's free. It will give you access to the Human Programmer Academy Module 1. And inside you will see a list of introductory videos, and then you'll see lesson 1 through 5. And each first lesson is the conscious teaching, and then the next page after that is the self-hypnosis installation session. And these are the powerful scripts that I used to move my safety system from fear to safety. My clients are listening to them after our sessions, and they are reporting back life-changing differences right after listening. The next day, thoughts quieting more control to come back to the present moment. And the reason for this is our unconscious mind, the interface between our conscious mind and our unconscious mind, is our imagination. I believe that's why all throughout school they've taught us to get your head out of the clouds, quit using your imagination, get back to the real world. Because that imagination is how we control our unconscious mind. By sitting for the 30-minute installation session and letting my words control your imagination, control the visions that you're seeing inside, it guides your unconscious mind to feel safe. An example is in the first self-hypnosis session, there's this section where we bring up a fear. And we do it in a safe setting. And the command that I give to your unconscious mind is to sit safely with this fear for a moment with me. And in doing that, your unconscious mind is pretending to hold a fear that you usually face alone, but you get an opportunity to bring it up with a friend and to see that it's not as scary as your inner child thought it was. And these moments of using your imagination to heal the unconscious mind bring life-changing differences in your everyday life. So I invite you to go to hackyourself.net, create your free account. I'm going to be in there during my Healing in Nature podcast events. Right now I'm doing them pre-recorded. I want to do them live, but I don't have the bandwidth on my cell phone to stream live right now. So as soon as I get a little more income coming in, I'm going to be able to live stream from nature, and that will be able to be live. But until then, I will be in that group as they're premiering. I'll be available for questions. If you want to work one-on-one with me, that's the way to do it. You just go in and join the group, join Hack Nation, get started with the Human Programmer Academy, I have about $3,000 worth of sessions there between those 5 sessions. And I give them to you for free because when I was working in advertising, there were companies that would call me for my window cleaning business, and they would say, for X amount of money, we can get you $20,000 clients. And I would always think, man, my company is not in a position to pay that right this second, but if you can really do that, why don't you work a deal with me and help me get those clients, and then I'll pay you from that. But of course, nobody will do that because you're not invested when you do that. You tend to take the help for granted when you don't pay for it. But I decided that I don't care about that. I'm going to give you $3,000 worth of my services for free because I don't want to charge for these services. I want everyone to know what I know. I know everyone deep down inside is a human programmer. We have the ability to control our own minds. And I want to see humanity thinking for themselves. That's all I care about. That's my pay. And all along, every bit of my services I give away for free, the universe pays me back in some other way. And so my goal is to get 1 million people, 1 million families to go through my courses so that they can become emotionally intelligent and they can learn how to help each other instead of hurt each other. And really, my goal is selfish because I want to live in a world like that where everyone loves each other and judgments are judged, you know, where the person judging everyone else is seen as the bad guy. And I also want to see so many people understand what I know, that someday one of them will be a neighbor to one of my kids who doesn't talk to me and is still in the Jehovah's Witness cult. Because I want to see them wake up and I want to see them live a happy and healthy life. So please take me up on this offer. If anything I've said today has helped you to see reality a little more clearly, please give me a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel. If you really feel moved, I have been frozen in time for 4 months trying to work on myself so that I can be more available to my clients, and I'm really low on supplies and Zeph's getting low on snacks. So every dollar that you guys donate through my PayPal or my Cash App is life-changing for me. I appreciate it. The other day I woke up to $20 from a client who just tipped me, and it actually was the only reason we were able to eat that day. So thank you for all of your guys' support. I really love each one of you, your emails and your text messages and your questions. They just keep me growing and learning. So I look forward to seeing all of you in my group. Right now I have 2 levels of pay for that group. The first one is $11 a month, and that will be the second portion of the Human Programmer Academy. And then there's a $55 portion that will be the next 2 levels, the final 2 levels of it. And there's nothing in there yet. Today is July 5th, and the 5th lesson of the Human Programmer Academy, the last part of the first free module, is going to release today at 5. And I don't know when this is going to get, this video is going to get released, whenever I can upload it. So basically, by the time you see this video, it should be up and running, and you should be able to take the whole first module, 5 lessons, 5 self-hypnosis sessions, and you should be able to see a big difference in your daily life. And I think that will be helpful because that will be the first part of anyone who wants to do one-on-one sessions with me. You can go through and get the first portion for free. You can kind of see how I work. So please go check that out. Give me your feedback. I want good and bad feedback. Just let me know if it makes sense, if it's working. Like I said, I'll be in the group. You can DM me anytime. I'll be in there every day. Look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your support on my journey. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.